Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining Behind the Crime Door. What I'm going to speak about with you today is why law enforcement isn't sharing more information with the public. Now, as we approach the 5th anniversary of this crime, the question I hear and am asked the most is why isn't law enforcement releasing more information to the public? Would it not be prudent to do so? I know it is hard for many to fathom why law enforcement would be so tight-lipped at this juncture in the case, knowing what I know about how law enforcement works investigations. I do not find it odd or wrong that they haven't. That is not how the law works, and especially in criminal cases. We must keep in mind the location of where this crime happened. It is by all accounts rural Midwestern small-town America. Everyone knows everyone. The town is just under 3,000 residents. This is not Chicago, New York City, Los Angeles, or any other very large metropolitan area where things might be handled a bit differently. You have a county sheriff who runs the show with 10 deputies and 1 canine officer, and you have a city police department with 7 officers. We have been told throughout this investigation that they are withholding information to guarantee and protect the integrity of this investigation. And they are looking down the road when they will make the arrest and this offender will face the court system. Makes sense to me. No matter how much we all might want to know more or wish they would tell us more, that is not truly relevant at all. Keeping this case solvent so that when it is brought before a judge and a jury, evidence will not be suppressed or thrown out due to shoddy police work. That's what's most important. I know that they all have on their minds of one day looking at Bridge Guy in the eye across a table in an interview room and asking him pertinent questions pertaining to this crime, questions that they know the answers to and that only he would as well. Law enforcement are very careful most of the time with preserving the integrity of their investigations. For example, if they were to reveal how the girls were murdered, because that certainly seems to be a question on everyone's mind on social media for sure, then that information loses its evidentiary value. When Bridge Guy reveals in the interview that he knows how they died, and the investigators ask him how he knows this, all he would have to say is, well, I heard it on the news, or I read it in the newspaper, or I heard it at the bar the other night. Then law enforcement can no longer prove that this information was not learned from somewhere else, and it therefore cannot prove that Bridge Guy is the murderer. Law enforcement have many reasons behind their decisions in this case, and most we are not privy to. They have really done a very good job at blocking and preventing leaks in this case. I do think that a lot of the rumors on social media can very well be detrimental to the case. If we are not careful in how we tell this story and present the facts, we risk derailing the case when it goes to trial. All it takes is a really good defense attorney to plant that seed of doubt in one juror's mind that his client was not only the one who knew things that only the killer could know. Sadly, this may have already happened with some of the evidence they have. Time will only tell. My hope is that people who do follow this case realize they are not owed anything from law enforcement regarding the release of more information. Sometimes cases can take a very long time to solve, and that is for many reasons. Lack of solid evidence that will place the killer at the scene with the bodies, and breaking a solid alibi can be a very daunting task. Take, for example, the Kristin Smart case in San Luis Obispo, California. It has taken 25 years and one podcaster named Chris Lambert from Your Own Backyard podcast to get this case blown wide open. Police suspected from pretty much day one that Paul Flores committed the crime and killed Kristin, but she was only a missing person because they had no body. They had eyewitness accounts of how he was in high school towards females. They had eyewitness accounts from college that his behavior was no different, and that he was a real creeper. They have women from Southern California where he moved to tell them he had sexually assaulted them and drugged them. With all of that, it took 25 years to bring this man to justice. He goes on trial in April of this year. I pray that is not what happens for Abby and Libby. Law enforcement is not withholding the cause of death. The Carroll County coroner is withholding the cause of death and various other bits of information per a court order. The court order, which is public record, outlines why the state of Indiana petitioned the court for such an order. Based upon the evidence, the court considered the court's findings, including the following: the details related to the manner and mechanism of the deaths of Miss Williams and Miss German, if they remain confidential, make it easier for investigators to recognize a false confession, as it is improbable for an innocent person to actually describe the details of the deaths without personal knowledge. Investigators are able to maintain a tactical advantage when speaking with a suspect if the manner and mechanism of the deaths of Miss Williams and Miss German are not made public. Officially, the order had nothing to do with the family. Now, there is also rumor that the families did not get to see or view the bodies prior to the memorial service for the girls. They were asked to provide a scarf for Libby, and Abby had on a high-collared dress. If the leaked David Erskine texts are true, then we know the injuries that the girls most likely suffered. Still, it is very unfortunate to see screenshots, whether factual or otherwise, of text messages regarding the girls' cause of death all over the internet. The graphic nature of these texts, well, it is extremely disturbing to still see this kind of insensitivity. It is not necessary to have this particular information out there at all. Not by web sleuths, podcasters, YouTubers. We are not investigators on this case, and as lay people, certain details are just not meant for us. For sure, it wouldn't help solve this case any quicker. I think that we do know already that this crime was horrific, and to me, that's bad enough. Again, I will say this: how we choose to tell their story matters. And one day we will find out those details, and I, for one, know how difficult it's going to be to hear. Can you imagine, if it's difficult for us, what it must be like for Carrie and Derek, or Becky and Anna, listening to the gruesome details of your child's last moments on this earth? We just need to be more mindful of the families in this case, and frankly, all cases, because they are the true victims here. Having integrity when covering these cases is something everyone should strive for, and we all know that that is not happening. And I say we need to do better. I do believe in law enforcement, even with all the confusion and seemingly insane way that they have of disseminating information. In this case, I truly believe they want it solved. You can see it in their faces when they speak about Abby and Libby, and you can hear it in their voices. I also have faith that this crime will definitely be solved. It may not be in the time frame that we have all hoped for, but I do believe that it is coming. I think that the human element is most often forgotten in this case. These families are still grieving and hurting over their terrible loss of Abby and Libby. And this isn't just a case to them to cover, something to make videos about or write blogs about. This is their life each and every day. They are reminded that their child is no longer with them, and living with the knowledge that the man responsible for their child's death is roaming free. I can't even imagine what that must feel like to them. These girls are their children. We should never forget this. As we cover this case and talk about this case, we need to remember that the parents and families also may hear and read or see what we present. And if these parents can be patient in the knowledge that certain personal details are being withheld because of it possibly jeopardizing this case, then the least we can do is abide and respect that. Let us make certain we keep hope alive for their justice. I thank you so much for stopping by today at Behind the Crime Door, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon with another new video on Delphi. Thank you so much, and everyone stay safe out there. Talk to you soon.